right, hello, Sooner Nation. I figured we probably could have gone on yesterday, but I was like, I need a day just to unpack everything and my heart being ripped out of its chest again for the second time. I love how they keep bringing up this is the first team that's not only done it once, but done it twice. Yeah. So what do you say? Let's take the game.
No, that's the thing. I think that's where we're all at, right? It's sad more than mad. At least it is for me. I was just telling Jeremy before we got on, the first quarter and a half, dreams of the 8th national championship. I was standing there looking up at the press box, just thinking, yeah, that's going to look good up there, 2025. That's going to look really awesome.
Good round number.
All my sunshine pumping is really paying off, and everyone's gonna be like, you know what, Goss was right. We shouldn't worry about this, that, and whatever. And but just like when you are right to your wife, you quickly get corrected that no, you are and will be wrong, and that's what happened in the second quarter.
Yeah, well, I'm never right at my house, but that said, something I didn't bring up. Most of our national championships are in like fives, like 75.
We won it in 50. We won it in 75. We won it in 2000. We were supposed to win it in 2025.
Yeah,
so nice job, Grayson Miller.
Hey, let's go right into that because, I've heard so many people blame John. I said we had that John Mateer all season. We probably beat Ole Miss. I'm not going to go crazy and say we beat Texas, but that said,
even our ultra negative friends agree that if we have that John Mateer, we go 1-1 in those games.
Yeah, and not to mention, our special teams has been a game changer for us, and especially in this run that we've had to get to the playoffs, and it just crapped the bed. And the only thing you can hope is that Tate Sandell doesn't take this into next season. This isn't the burrito for Tate Sandell, so to speak. It's just you feel bad for the kid. You could tell that last kick that he took some off of it just to make sure that he was accurate, and he took too much off of it. So that thing was right down the middle. So
I don't think it was a bad decision to try to kick it that early to have time where if you get the onside kick to go back. I don't have any issues with that. Just like I don't have any issues game management wise with some people were frustrated at the end of the first half that, we just kind of let time expire right there at midfield. And I wouldn't have minded a Hail Mary there. But at the same time, you've just had some bad luck with some stuff. Just get to halftime and you hopefully get there. But no, this was a team that was built on defense and special teams, and our special teams were an F on Friday night. And our defense, that was not a great game. It was very similar to the Ole Miss game. It wasn't that our defense was bad, but we missed more tackles on Friday than we have pretty much all year, I would say. This is no different than the 4th and 2 on their first touchdown drive where legitimately him catching the pass, getting the first down was fine, but we should have tackled him about the 5-yard line. And you make him snap it again and you see if something happens. We didn't do that. That's something we've been doing, and we didn't do that there.
And how many what ifs do you get? Like, one of the what ifs is what if Kendall Daniels knocks that ball down?
Right.
He's
real close. His hands.
He was right there. It's just inches away from him knocking that ball down, and they don't get the first down on 4th down, and we've got the ball back. So still the momentum's in our hands. So there's just so many what ifs in that game. Yeah, let's look at the John Mateer throw that he hits Xavier Robinson in the hands. I said it to our friends group, and one thing I tell Steve before we get on, our friends group, we make fun of them stuff like all the time just because they are passionate OU fans. They are, but they also give me a perspective of what OU fans out there think. Now, me and Steve are huge OU fans, and we are irrational in some cases, but there are just things that, sometimes you just see stuff on Twitter and it's just like, okay, but they give you some talking points a lot of times. And we were talking about this yesterday, and I said, you look at it, if he runs and gets that first down, let's say even just gets the first down, we move the sticks. But people have been like, if he'd have just thrown it to Xavier Robinson there, we might have scored a touchdown.
Yeah.
So it's like he's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Well, and I mean, here's the deal, man. Like, our offense is predicated on John Mateer making plays. That's what it's predicated on. And when John Mateer made plays, our offense was good. When John Mateer didn't make plays, our offense was bad. He went to make a play. He made a good play to get out of the pocket. He made a good throw. He made, a good decision, and it just wasn't executed in the end. I mean, if you're going to question the coaching staff in any way, it's why are we playing an injured Xavier Robinson in that situation? Because anyone who watched him play on Friday or has the last couple of weeks knows that's not a healthy running back. Why do we have a running back in there who's not fully healthy? Now, that goes back to the Jade Knott problem and the Javante Barnes problem and all those different things. And, I don't blame Mateer for making that pass. I don't. No. You're trying to go win the football game. This is Alabama. And I'll just make this side point as we go through. Am I frustrated that we still haven't won a college football playoff game? 100%. Do I find it embarrassing that we're the only team who's lost a 17-point lead and we've done it not once but twice? Yes, I'm embarrassed for that. But at the same time, look at who we've had to play in the college football playoff.
Yeah.
I'll take my chances against James Madison and Tulane. I'll take my chances against Miami or Texas A&M. The one team you didn't want to play in the first round is who we played. Yeah. I'd much rather have played Oregon or Ole Miss has played Alabama again.
I want to play Miami.
Yeah, I mean, I thought we were going to play Miami or Notre Dame. I think that's what most, fans thought. It's not that I'm scared of Alabama, but if you watched Alabama, guys, they had receivers make plays that we didn't even talk about before the game. Okay? Kid who had 2 touchdowns didn't have a touchdown all year. Go up and makes that, Moss's, I think it was, who was that? Jacoby Johnson, I think, over there on the OU sideline. I mean, those are great plays by special players. Alabama's got a bunch of them. Ty Simpson, after the first quarter, was great. I mean, he dropped some passes in the bucket. He looked like a first-round quarterback after that. Am I still mad? Yes. But, I mean, I'm going to give flowers to that. I'm giving flowers to Kalen DeBoer. It was a great call going for that 4th down. I'd kicked the field goal. I'd have tried to stop the bleeding at that point. Yeah. I wouldn't have risked it as good as our defense had been. But he did. He risked it. Same thing he did down at Auburn and won that game. He's made some good calls. Kudos to him.
Well, and also, too, why did we look so good in the first quarter? Because we were winning the field position. After, right. I mean, we talk about that, the drop punt and questioning it. He had money on the game. But let's not forget, some of these other kicks were horrible. I mean, we gave them their average starting positions around their own 40. And you don't win many football games like that. You're putting your defense in really bad situations. So, and that's one thing, you say what you want about the offense. These last few games where we've won these like 17-10 games or these low-scoring battles is we haven't put our defense in a lot of bad situations. Mateer threw a lot of interceptions at LSU against LSU, but it wasn't necessarily field position that was killing us. So that was one thing that I'm just like, I just feel like special teams is what lost us the game. There is no way around it. I mean, what do you do?
I mean, you look at it, Jeremy, for a quarter and a half, we won the field position. After that, they did. And I mean, that's just that simple. And I mean, it's just the same exact game in a lot of ways, but the two teams are switched from when the game was played in Tuscaloosa. Okay. They're the ones who made the pick six. Okay. They're the ones who lost field position. They were the one who gained more yards but lost. We did those things. Now, what does that tell me? That tells me us and Alabama are pretty similar football teams. Yep. We are. I'm not going to sit here and tell you if we played Alabama 10 times, we would beat them 8. No. And they wouldn't beat us 8. No. It's going to be somewhere to 4 to 6 on everybody. And that's just who the teams are. And that's where, this is the first bit of sunshine I probably pumped today. But that's where I'm going to say is I expect Alabama to go beat Indiana. Maybe they will, maybe they won't, but I expect them to. I will not be surprised if they do. I won't be surprised if Alabama's not playing the national championship game because I think either one of those teams are probably going to have an advantage over Oregon or Texas Tech. Just when you look at it, it comes down to players. All the coaches at this level are pretty good. There's nobody coaching now who's an idiot. You wouldn't be this far along. All these guys are going to be prepped. You're going to do all those things. But you just look at who's got the best players. And, Alabama's got as good of players as anybody. I mean, Brent said it himself. When he looked at that roster, there's a bunch of people we tried to recruit that we were playing against.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
and Indiana's a lot like how we are right now. It's like, you got to show me before you're going to start getting your respect. Indiana's won some big games, but now it's the playoffs. This is where you earn that respect, because as long as we keep losing the playoffs, I was saying something to my father-in-law yesterday. I said, I almost feel like we might have to go undefeated and make the playoffs next year. It's just, we have that label, unfortunately, but the schedule lines up for us. We'll get into next year, maybe a little bit at the end, but like the schedule lines up for us. We have to go and win some big games at Michigan, against Georgia. I mean, these are games that you got to win, but also too, where you have this moniker where we are Choklahoma. That's what they call us. And until we find a way to change that narrative, you just have to deal with it. That's what we're going to be called. Until we find a way to win one of these playoff games, it's going to constantly be that. I do think we're in the right direction. I do. And this is my sunshine pumping. You can't go 6-7 and then go 10-3 and not be a little upbeat for what direction you're going. I mean, I think we've made some of the right steps here, but I don't know. I just look at it as, yes, I'm upset. I'm very, I thought, I'm like you. I'm like 17-0. One more like field goal or touchdown, then we're putting our foot on their throat and this game's over. And oh my God, we're going to win a national championship. Who's beating us now? Indiana? But I just feel like Alabama's going to out physical Indiana too. I'd have felt like that with us. I just don't think Indiana's seen anything like that. At this point.
And say what you want, whatever, going back to the game on Friday night, I don't want anyone to leave this pod thinking Goss doesn't think Mateer. I mean, that's a terrible read on the interception. You can't throw a pick six right there. Mm-hmm. I mean, we go into the half and it's 17-10. Maybe we go down, maybe it's 20-10, whatever. That's a totally different animal. And you can't make those decisions. You can't. And that's the growth he's got to make. Okay. It's okay to be aggressive. It is. Okay. It's okay to do those things, but you've got to be at a point where you don't make those back-breaking plays. And that's where John has to make that turn. But, at the same token, do we not think he can improve that? I do. I mean, I think that can be improved, but it has to be improved. It's one of those things, you have to get better at that. And I don't want anyone to leave this being like, well, Goss says it's just the punter's fault and the kicker's fault, and then I put the defense at more blame than the offense. I do. All those things are true. But Mateer has his place in the blame pie. His pieces isn't as big to me as it's going to be a lot of people's.
Well, and also, too, I look at that play call. We have 2 timeouts, and their corner's playing boundaries. I mean, he's trying to prevent boundaries. We still, with 2 timeouts, have the middle of the field that we can use.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I thought John did a better job of ripping it to the middle earlier in that game,
That's the reason I mentioned that, is because I feel like he was more comfortable in those middle throws, than he was in the boundary. The boundary throws were it was kind of his kryptonite on Friday night. And, he took blame for it. He said, they fooled me. And I checked, and it was a bad check, and they weren't on the same page. Miscommunication. What do you know? A bunch of guys that haven't played a whole lot of football with each other make a check and they don't communicate well. It is what it is. Now, that's one thing that you're going to say, hey, what are things that we can improve on? They can get out in the field and work together a full off season. So, to me, John Mateer wasn't our problem. And I think we can put the rest at
He wasn't our problem Friday night.
No. But the thumb was obviously an issue the whole season.
Yeah.
We now understand that. Even the interviews before the game, they finally let the cat out of the bag that he is dealing with a lot more on that thumb than we. And who would have thought your throwing hand right thumb can be a problem? Oh, man, have you guys ever tried to throw a football with a numb thumb? Because, basically that's what sounds like it was. He's dealing with
Yeah.
pain, but also too, if you're shooting up his thumb to take pain out of there, you don't have a whole lot of feeling.
Yeah.
So it's all, and that's, you look at some of those throws he made and you're like, well, crap, now we know why. I mean, hindsight's 2020, but should he have came back early against Texas? No, he shouldn't have. And did we hopefully learn a lesson from that you don't let the kid make that call? Yeah, probably so.
Right.
But
it's the same. It's the Baker Mayfield paradox of Baker tried to play hurt when he was at Cleveland. He comes back, doesn't play as well as he did before, and ends up losing his job. Yeah. I don't think Mateer's going to lose his job. And those of you who are concerned because after the game, there were some questions of, asking about next year and Mateer's future and that sort of thing. Guys, that's just him covering his bases in case when they have exits meetings starting tomorrow, they come to him and say, John, we're going a different direction. Yeah. That way he can say, it wasn't just that the university didn't want me back. Now, do I think there's been conversations that's been had between Nagy and Mateer's agent already? Yeah, I imagine that's probably already in place. But that's the reason for that. I fully expect Mateer to be the quarterback just as fully as I expect Hawkins to be in the portal. I think both. If you're asking about the quarterback room, those are the two things I fully and completely expect.
And I'm really surprised that we already hadn't heard something with Hawkins, but that's it. And I think Hawkins will do it in the most respectful way he can.
His dad might not, but he will.
Yeah, but he is an OU guy. I mean, it is what it is. He loves OU, and you know what? OU loves him, but they understand.
And I'm glad he stayed to be the backup this year. I mean, even though it wasn't pretty in the one game he played. This was a guy who stayed, did his part, blah blah blah. No ill toward Mike Hawkins. He was in a rough position his freshman year for sure. But I do think the family should be really appreciative of how they handled him this year as a backup. They didn't there was one game where, we had to send a quarterback out there for a snap for when Mateer lost a helmet or something like that, and they didn't burn his red shirt on that. They were very, very, very kind to Hawkins as far as handling his eligibility and that sort of thing. So I think that puts a bow on that until Hawkins is officially in the portal, which, Jeremy and I will talk about that again. But don't be surprised that by the next time we talk, he's not already in the portal.
Let's look at, people talking about we can go out and get another quarterback. Guys, it's going to cost $5 to $6 million to get a brand new quarterback in here. If you want me to spend $5 to $6 million, I'd much rather spend it on wide receivers, tight ends, and running backs. Those are my three go-tos in the portal. And I don't think quarterback is what we need to go after, in my opinion. It's just, to me, be smart with how you spend your money. And I promise you, Jim Nagy there, I think unless Mateer comes in and says, I got offered more money somewhere else, I just don't see him looking at that direction. So,
and I mean, there's lots of people out there, but I mean, who as far as, let's just have this mini conversation, I guess, because I think it'll get thrown out there. And I don't think it's a conversation we'll have to have once the portal really opens on January 2nd. But who out there in the quarterback role would you rather have than John Mateer?
To me,
I mean,
Levitt's about the only one. Levitt's to me the only one that I would want.
What has he really shown? I mean, there's promise there, but I mean, DJ Lagway is better than Jackson Arnold, but some of that is just because of the hype that's went in there. I like the quarterback from Cincinnati. I think he's good. But once again, you're talking about someone who's played in a different league, and that would be who I would want. I think Sorsby, I think is his name, from Cincinnati. I think Levitt from Arizona State's a pretty good quarterback too. I think Rocco Becht is a good game manager, but I'm sure he's going to Penn State with Matt Campbell. Sure, that's what some of that stuff is. But I mean, there's nobody out there who just makes me scream, yes, that's who we need. I mean, once again, if in a vacuum, if you just told me, okay, could you have the Cincinnati quarterback or Mateer quarterback our team next year? Martian Death Beam, I might take the Cincinnati quarterback, but not for our team. Not when they have the relationship that Arbuckle and Mateer have, where you'd have to start all the way over with that. And I do think we're high on Bo Bentley, so I think we're wanting that to be the transition. So anyway, to make a long story short, I expect Mateer to be back. I don't see anything. It's just an obvious upgrade over Mateer. I know some people have thrown out the Nestamaker kid, who's at North Texas and that sort of thing. We don't need another unknown. We're going to be really, really good next year, guys. Really, really, really good next year. And we don't need an unknown. What we need to do is go add pieces around him. We need a running back, a real running back. We need a number one receiver. We need a tight end. Okay. Look at what Clavis was able to do for Alabama Friday night. We need somebody like that. Look at what those receivers were able to do on some of those balls that were just kind of thrown up there to go make plays. And it's not that like Burks and Satanga aren't good receivers, but we don't need little fast guys. We need a big guy who can go up and make some plays too. I mean, I'm all for little fast guys too, but those are the things we need on offense more than a quarterback, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, spend as much money as you can to get Cam Coleman. I mean, I know I've mentioned this many times, but to me, there is no other guy you need to go after than Cam Coleman. I just think he fits what we're trying to do. But talking about quarterback stuff like that, this is a guy not a lot of people are talking about, and bookmark this if you want to. If he gets in the right position, the Hoover kid from TCU, I think is a decent quarterback. I just depends on where he transfers to. But he could put him in a good system. I think he could have one of those sneaky good seasons.
I mean, could he have what's the kid who went from K-State to Ohio State and won the national championship?
But
yeah,
Will
Howard. Will Howard.
There it is. Yep.
I mean, I think there's a possibility. There's a possibility with that. But going back to the game on Friday, just a few more thoughts that I wanted to get out there. I just thought, it was nice to finally see Deion Burks kind of be the guy that we have talked about Deion Burks being.
Where has that been all season?
It was nice that
I'm like, Deion Burks still plays for us. Who'd have thought it?
Nice that finally appeared. I do want to spend just a minute talking about atmosphere stuff. Most of you guys know I was at the game. Did walk over to game day. It was really cool to see those guys. That's the first game day I've been to since Corso wasn't there. And, back when Jeremy and I were in school at OU, Corso would always be the guy before it started and during the timeouts who would call and would kind of like mess with the crowd and talk and, try to do that. McAfee does a really, really good job of that kind of stuff now. There was a really, really cool flyover that happened right as game day was starting. I'm not sure if you could see that for those of you who watched it on TV. But it was really funny to watch like McAfee's reaction to that. McAfee's reaction where our seats were close to where they were when they were inside and watching his reactions when the lights turned off and all that. But A+ on the game day setup, A+ on the pregame laser show stuff. The halftime drone show was awesome. I heard we spent $750,000 getting Fitty there. But it was pretty funny. I elbowed Reed and then told Jarrett and Darren. I was like, look at all the cops down there. He really is going to be there, and you can see all the police. And his vocals didn't sound that great. I mean, it is what it is. But it was really freaking awesome to see that. And I mean, it worked. I mean, 2 plays later was a Deion Burks touchdown. So. I mean, if that's the going rate on a touchdown in the college football playoff, I guess whatever we got to do, we got to do. But came in and gave
might have gone against us because Alabama was very pumped up by it.
Oh, no, because we're close to the Alabama side. But, I mean, it automatically worked. I mean, it did. And it was funny. The Alabama get back coaches were trying to keep the Alabama people back because where he was at, they were trying to run out there and go get a picture with him or something like that. But it was all really awesome. It was just an amazing atmosphere Friday in Norman. It really was. And
A+. It came off on TV A+ by everything at the University of Oklahoma.
Anyone who ever makes a comment about OU's fans and their inability to make a great atmosphere and all those things can kick rocks because it was amazing. It was. It truly, truly was. And, for a quarter and a half, it was one of the best days ever. And, then disaster struck.
And I look at it's funny. We got spoiled for a lot of years with Bob. You remember Big Game Bob? You know, he would make these calls. You're like, well, he's got some. I think about the Missouri game when Matt McCoy throws the fake field goal to Chris Chester in double coverage, and we come down with it. It's just like back then we just made the plays, and it just seems like in these big games we just can't make that one.
But
play.
that's part of it too. We can't forget just because we lost this close game. We can't go back and not – I mean, to get to where we were, we won, you know, like a playoff game at Tennessee. We won like a playoff game at Alabama. And, you know, in Missouri and LSU were games that – I don't mean they're as big as those games were or as Friday night was, but those were games we lost earlier in the Brent Venables era. I mean, the improvement that was made was monstrous. It was. We are back, and we are closer to a national championship than we've been in a really, really long time. We're back in a lot of a similar position we were at what I'd call the height of the Lincoln Riley era, you know, the Baker Kyler era. You know, we're in that closeness as far as winning a national championship. But that's not where we want to be. Am I okay? Am I happy with how this year went? Yes. Am I satisfied with this being the end result of Oklahoma football? Absolutely not. I know where the defense went from when Brent got it to where it is now.
Yep.
And I don't expect it to ever go back down. So you're going to have years it's a little better, a little bit worse, but I expect us to have a really good defense in perpetuity with Brent Venables as our football coach.
Well, and also too, I think that's one thing that a lot of people have mentioned about the Arbuckle situation is, do you remember Brent Venables' first defense at Oklahoma? I mean, it was like showed you signs that they're going to be a good defense, but we're just like, we just don't got the players yet to do what he wants to do. Crazy that Ben Arbuckle's playing with really not his players yet. So let's get some recruiting classes in there to where he
let's
can
see what Nagy can do. You know, I mean, this is a guy.
The waiting game. That's what.
If you're listening to this, you probably listened to the Oklahoma breakdown too. If you haven't listened to that, go find the episode where Nagy was on with Gabe and Teddy, and listen to Jim Nagy, and you'll feel better about things. You will. I'm really interested to see him throughout this entire portal cycle too, because he wasn't there for the big portal portion last year. He's just there for the second portal. So, and with all the coaching carousel things that are out there, Jeremy, I mean, you know, I just saw where Michigan's OC left to go to Missouri. And who knows who's going to be the head coach at Michigan. I think if we could have continued on, it was going to be Kalen DeBoer. But I think that ship has sailed now with
first quarter. It was I'm sure
Kalen DeBoer was halfway to Ann Arbor.
He had realtors in Ann Arbor, I guarantee you, after that first quarter. So, but I mean, that was a pure. I mean, that was a pure domination. The first. I mean, you can't dominate a football game more than we did in that first quarter. To the point where you're just like, Jesus, is Alabama going to get a first down right now?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, they did not have a first down before that first scoring drive, and I mean, it was a heck of a throw on that third down. Great over the shoulder throw. And I mean, that was just the signs of, like I said, give Simpson his flowers, man. It's a good pass. Make good passes.
And also too, when you're letting Proctor hold Mason Thomas like that, you got to give him credit. I mean, they just said, you know what? You can hold our Mason as much as you want. We are not going to throw a flag, and they weren't. So kudos to the rest for letting that happen.
I mean, there wasn't a holding call on either team, right? I mean, we had a defensive holding call, but there wasn't an offensive holding call on us either, I don't think. And I mean,
the only penalty they got on them was the sideline.
And I mean, I couldn't see that at all. I don't even really know what happened there, if that was the kind of bull crap or what it was. But
he bumped into. I mean, even the guy, the rules official on ESPN, even said it. He goes, you can't get in his area. That's a injury risk. So he goes, you have to call that. He goes, if he just kind of like hits him and he's not necessarily in his area, they might give him warning. But when you almost take him down, that's when you got to throw the flag. So Eric's trying to explain that to Kalen DeBoer, and he was not having it.
He chased that dude all the way down the sideline. I
thought he was going to fight him. I did think he was going to fight him. So, but I mean, they're just, going back to the whole playoff deal, and it's just, when you talk about Big Game Bob, we did make plays in big games, but it goes back to just these games in the playoffs. We just need, and a lot of times it's just one play. Look at the Georgia game. If one thing goes our way, this one play here or there, we probably win the game against Georgia. And it's the same thing as against Alabama. You know, you just knock the ball down on 4th down. We don't drop the ball and get that punt off.
Yeah.
You know, does that change this aspect? Mateer doesn't throw that ball on that read, doesn't check down. There's just so many what ifs. You can go through it all day. There's so many situations, and that's what playoff football is. And it's just you got to make less mistakes than them. And kudos to them. They basically, their game plan was to Simpson, you don't make mistakes, we win the game. And they were right.
And he made plays, man. I mean, like you can say, you know, no running game and all that stuff. Now, I mean, unfortunately, they did get their longest run since, I think, week 2 on, you know, the one play. That was just a good play call. And we had some missed tackles once again, too. And I think if I'm BV, when I'm going to bed, you know, Friday night or Saturday morning, whenever he was able to go to bed, maybe he's still just going to bed for the first time now. I don't know. But being a defensive guy, that just wasn't our A defensive effort. It just wasn't. We weren't able to get the same amount of pressure, and you can blame it on the holding calls. I do think that did happen. But, look, they weren't called. So, you know, you have to learn to adjust. No doubt in my mind, if you watch that game, it was very easy to see. They started the game trying to throw at Cortland Guillory, and then they realized that is a bad decision. And then honestly, they picked on Eli Bowen is where a lot of those longer passes were going in. And I think Eli's a good player, but I think Guillory's got a chance to be a first-round draft pick corner. He's a first-day guy eventually, and that's a guy we've got coming back. So just, you know, all in all, I think just to put a bow on the game and then in turn on the season, we can't, because of where we're at now, during the moment, no, I would not have signed up for it because, by God, I want to win. I want to win a national championship. And anything short of a national championship is a disappointment. This is a team that had an over-under of 6.5 that I think a lot of people just wanted us to be in playoff contention was going to be a successful year. There are a lot of people who were trying to talk themselves into 8-4, 9-3, and that's successful. And I will take 10-3, 8 days a week for this year, but I do not want to be sitting here on December 21st of 2026 being 10-3 again. That would be a disappointment. That's where I'm at.
And we just changed our expectations of this football team. The
standard is, I mean, we're back to this being the baseline standard, and we have to go be above it. Now you push the goalpost forward. I mean, it's nothing else. We have to continue to get better. You're either getting better, or you're getting worse, and we got better this year. And we can't have the regression back to another 5-6 loss season. If we do, Brent deserves to be fired.
Yeah. And you want to take this little dig against A&M, but A&M was having a dream season, a season that they've never had before, and they won about as much as we did. When it all boils down to it. Yes, did they only lose 2 games? Yes, they did.
Did they play the SEC title game? Nope.
Yeah.
Didn't even play in it. I didn't win it. Didn't play in it.
Did they get beat by Texas? Yep.
Yeah, you know.
Did they lose in the first round of the playoffs? Yeah, and they played like crap.
Yeah.
And that's, one reason that I wanted to play Miami, just because of the different opponent. And God dang it, I just retired of playing SEC teams. That was my – and if you want my answer on the SEC, I'm glad we're in the conference. I think the physicality of the SEC gets us ready for playoff football.
It makes us closer, guys, because, here's the deal. And Texas Tech may beat the brakes off of Oregon. And, for my brother-in-law, Marshall, I'm rooting for Texas Tech for you against Oregon. But the Big 12, we've been there. We've been in those seats. And then we go and we play, and we see that we have 5 players who could play in that game, and the other team has 22. And even if our 5 are really, really good, it's just not the matchup that's good enough to go win that football game. It's just not. And hopefully, for Texas Tech's case, they're not. And they've got, the big NIL babies and all that stuff. But, it's still going to be a tough game for Texas Tech.
my deal with Texas Tech is I just think it's a horrible matchup with Oregon. I just don't think they match up well with them, and I hate Lanning, so that's another. I don't know why. I just cannot stand Dan Lanning.
Well,
I think it's because he's on cocaine
before the game aren't usually our kind of people, but
yeah, I think he's just on cocaine. That's why I don't like him. I mean, it's just like, do you have to interview him like right after something? Like it's like he just took a hit right after the game went off. So.
More enjoyable interview, Dan Lanning or Fernando Mendoza?
Mendoza's a psycho. I'm pretty sure he's a serial killer. So there, we could do a whole pod of what my thoughts on Mendoza. There's going to be a true crime documentary. Mendoza's going to be one of the suspects. I can promise you.
Well, to kind of put a bow on everything for the weekend, we talked a little bit about the other games before this pod, and you can't have 2 group of 5 teams in there, guys. No. And I do know that that James Madison was able to score a lot of points yesterday and that sort of thing, but I mean, that was definitely the varsity games and the JV games afterwards. Yeah, and, you can't do that. Go to 16, have 1 group of 5 team in there, write the rules however it needs to be, play at least the first round at home for everybody. Jeremy and I think it should be the first 2 rounds at home for everybody. And then I think we're where we need to be.
Yeah. I watched the game, and not to mention Tulane's losing their coach, and it's just like
right. I mean, Tulane and James Madison both were playing with, anyway, it's just
you knew the James Madison. I thought maybe Tulane would give him a little more of a fight.
I did too. But the very, very beginning of that game, Tulane kind of marched down the field and then threw a pick as they were about to go in and score. But
but also too, you watch teams too, like they usually draw out the first 30 plays, and those first 30 plays work really well. It's the adjustments that everybody makes after that.
Yeah,
and that's
once you get out of your scripted, it's a whole different ball game. But Jeremy, any final thoughts on any players, anything from Friday night, any of the seniors that we got to see for the last time, anything like that?
Oh man, there's so many guys you can go through and just say where they ended up from where they came here. It's just night and day different. And I think they give you a good just example when you're going to recruits. When you're going to portal guys, you can say, look at R. Mason Thomas. R. Mason Thomas was talking about it the other day about when he first got to Norman. He said, I didn't know anything. And I didn't realize I didn't know anything until I started talking to Venables. And he showed me. And if you can watch Venables, we were talking about Benito the other day, how I'd love for Nick Benito to play under Brent Venables. I mean, can you imagine the superstar that guy would have been? Because he's now learning defense in the NFL, and he's one of the best defensive players in the NFL. So just like guys like that, and R. Mason can come back, and I've heard back and forth about what he's going to do. I do think he comes back, but Kobe McKenzie's another one that can Kobe McKenzie come back?
I don't think so. Now I know Kip can come back.
Okay, well, I heard that somebody said that Kobe McKenzie's got a decision to make. Because does he want to go to
and on this, if anyone from the NCAA, and I'm pleading to you here, Reed, you've got a picture that you took with the president of the NCAA from a little breakfast thing you had at Harvard the other day. Talk to your buddy at the NCAA, and it makes absolutely 0 sense that Owen Heineke's year of playing lacrosse, which he didn't even really play, at Ohio State is taken against him. Okay. But we can have people at Gonzaga playing basketball when they're friggin' 30, and it's no big deal. Okay. Give Owen Heineke another year. Sorry, Jeremy, go ahead.
For sure. No, for sure. And he's another guy, like if he does get another year, like he's going to be on a lot of all SEC teams. I mean, the season that he got, the problem with OU players, and don't get upset when you see these preseason all SEC teams, is we have too many good defensive players. Yes. That they take snaps and they take tackles away from other players. If David Stone and Jaden Jackson aren't on the all-SEC first team next year, I riot. I can tell you that right now. Those two better be on. Now, our Mason comes back. Obviously, he might be a preseason SEC Defensive Player of the Year if he does come back. But
a player that I haven't heard anybody talk about that I think is just the picture of, you talked about like things you can go say in the portal. Marvin Jones Jr. came in as a guy who was kind of considered a flop. Okay. He was a big recruit who went to Georgia, didn't really do anything. Went to Florida State, didn't really do anything. And came in here and was a big part of arguably the best defense in the country. Now he's a guy who's probably going to go ahead and get drafted now. Now he's not going to be up in the first 3 rounds or anything crazy like that. He's going to be a 5th, 6th, 7th round draft pick. But that's a guy, if you're Jim Nagy, if you're Brent Venables, you can look and go see. And those are the kind of guys I think we need to target in the portal. These guys who have potential that our coaching can pull that out of, which is the last thing I want to talk about. And I think we've hit on this a little bit earlier, is as we get into this season, you can show what we can do development-wise with these defensive players. And our defense is in a very, very good spot. And I don't expect any changes on our defensive staff. I think people will try to poach them, but I don't think any of those guys are going anywhere. I think if anybody left, maybe it's a good one because he got another DC job or something like that. But all in all, I don't really see that happening. But it's time, guys. Let's make some offensive staff changes. Yeah. That had to be the last game at Owen Field for Joe John Finley. It just did. I'm ready for that to be the last game for Emmett Jones or DeMarco Murray or both as well. It's time to make those changes. I don't want to get rid of Bill because I think we do have an offensive line that has shown improvement, has shown growth, and he has shown the ability to go get big recruits, figuratively and literally. But I do think it's time. Joe John's 100% has to go for me, and I'm fine with either of the other two going. Where do you use that with that, Jerry?
Yeah, don't you think that they go to Ben Arbuckle and just say, do you want to pick your staff? Because if you're going to do what you want to do and where you want to take this offense, isn't it easier to do it with the guys that you handpick? To me, it just makes too much sense. And you're basically saying, hey, do this. And can you still hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, my camera cut out. If you're going to run this offense and you're using coaches that had another, it's just, to me, it makes too much sense just to make stock changes. And I'm sure they're talking to DeMarco saying, you had some offers last year. I would probably explore them because I just feel like that's got to be the next move. I think we tried it with Arbuckle just because it was a new mindset, a new offense, but let's let him pick his staff, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So
I think it's time to make those changes for sure. So
it is.
Speaking of changes, obviously this is our last post-game pod that we're going to have. I would say if we're going to do a post-game pod of anything else as far as right after a game or right after that,
we're going to fire Moser.
It'll be after maybe some big win that we get in SEC basketball, or a Final Four or a Sweet 16 game or something like that. But let's not put the cart in front of the let's not put the schooner in front of the ponies here. We're not going to do that. So it's probably going to be a while. We certainly appreciate, we've had better numbers really on our post game stuff than we had on our annual weeklies. So look for going forward. We might have some different dates. So we're going to go back to kind of the once a week thing, unless there's things that just come out there. But it's been a great football season, obviously for the Sooners, but also for this podcast. We've seen our numbers really grow during this season. We've had big numbers, and we certainly appreciate all the subscribers, all the likes, all the comments, all the emails, all the things that we get. We are certainly very, very appreciative of those, and thank you guys very much.
Yes, and we've got a lot of new followers, some really good numbers from this, just doing these 2 pods, and we really appreciate, like Steve just said, but give a shout out to Nicholas Willis, who always comments on our videos, and we appreciate. I always try to mention to him that I appreciate him listening, but he's always gives us a shout out. We appreciate those guys. We appreciate that. So I felt like I need to give him a shout out because he always is. He's always commenting, and we appreciate I like the comments because it gives us something to talk about too. Because
it gives us some different angles.
Well, and it doesn't. And we don't expect everybody to agree with us by any means, but it is something that we enjoy doing it. We like I say, dog our friends all the time about about what they say. But I was telling Steve, I go, I really do like it talking to them, and sometimes like we'll put off going on our pod because it gives us a different perspective to talk about. But they have some angles that maybe I wouldn't think about. But they're definitely opposite of Sunshine Pumping. But we do respect everybody's opinion. That we don't expect anybody to like agree with everything we say.
And if you're a subscriber to this pod and you're like, look, Goss, love the football content, but now it's getting close to hoop season, don't unsubscribe. Just let it play in the background. Don't do anything rash like that. We're still going to talk about portal. The portal, that's one of the big parts of the season that opens up here January 2nd. So here right around the holidays, I think we're going to get a lot of knowledge on who's in and who's out in the next week. Yeah. As far as what Jeremy and I have heard, I think X interviews start tomorrow. So there's going to be lots and lots of intel going back. The only rumor that I'll throw out there that I've heard a little bit on, and I don't think there's truth to it, there's a little bit of concern of Jaden Jackson entering the portal. Don't think that's going to happen. Hope that's not going to happen. But just sharing some information that's probably not readily available with anyone who's still listening to this podcast. Thanks for listening to the end. Have heard that rumor going out there.
Yeah. And like you said, there's going to be a lot of portal talk. This is, if you want to take any advantage from us losing out in the playoffs, as we get to jump in the portal a little bit sooner than maybe some of these other teams. I heard there's been a lot of crying about teams are like, well, we're in the playoffs, we can't get in the portal now. And just like, oh, God, you got to win national championships. How horrible. You shouldn't have to go in the portal if you're playing for national championships. So that's all I'm going to say.
Exactly.
But no, guys, thank you for listening. Thank you for just the support during the football season. I hate it ended. I wanted to push this thing, and I thought it was till the national championship game. But that said, and also, too, probably next week, we'll probably do one on Tuesday since it is Christmas week. So we'll have to do one a little bit early. But appreciate it. Continue subscribing to us on YouTube. If you're not subscribing, do it now. It's a new cool thing to do. Follow us on Apple and Spotify. See where you can find us on email.
Soonercast@gmail.com. Have a great holidays, guys. Merry Christmas, all that stuff. Boomer.
Remember Sooner.